Mayor Rothschild said, "Let me issue and control the nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws." So that's one of the most brutal and truthful quotes of all times. People opposing systems can be silenced by financial pressures. That's why if you control a nation's money, you control everything. Now, every generation feels financial pressure, but this time it feels different for some reason. Housing prices and rents, they've skyrocketed to levels that make it hard for anyone to own a home. Basic necessities, they aren't affordable. People are moving back in with their parents. With all the technological advancements, you would think that we'd have abundance by now, but it seems like we're going the opposite direction. So what's happening? What are the central banks doing? The current state of capitalism, it's caused the world to lose focus of why we have money in the first place. Technology serves money and profits instead of people. So it's not about using technology to make our lives better, it's about using technology to make more money. You feel like something is wrong with the system, but you can't really put your finger on it. Your expenses are eating you alive. You can't afford to do the things that you want to do. So why is that? What's actually happening? It's important to understand that a game is being played with your money that you're not aware of. And the reason you don't hear about how bad the financial situation is because of media consolidation. In 1983, 50 companies, they owned 90% of the US media. Now, 6 companies are interlocked with the major banks and they own 90% of the media. It went from 50 to 6. Because the Telecommunications Act of 1996, it reduced the FCC's regulations on cross-ownership. So now Viacom, News Corporation, Comcast, CBS, Time Warner, and Disney, they own almost everything that you see. If you understood how bad the situation is, you'd be terrified because 100% of fiat currencies fail. And this isn't some conspiracy theory, it's history. The US makes money through finance capitalism. It makes money through capital gains, not a real economy that makes things. That's why there's no investment in infrastructure anymore, and it's why the wealth gap continues to grow. What causes inequality? Why do the top 1% own most of the wealth? So here's how money works. All the money that comes into circulation is debt. It's all borrowed. So governments borrow money from the banks, depositing it into central banks, they lend it to other banks, and these banks create loans. And within that process, new money is created. So the loans are given to businesses and individuals with interest. So basically, money is created out of nothing and interest is charged on top of it. If you think about it, the system doesn't work in the long run because purchasing power can only come from subtracting it from somewhere else. New resources aren't created when the money is being printed, so you have to take it from somewhere else. When governments create additional money and there's no increase in goods and services, all the money in the current market is devalued. So $100 at the grocery store used to buy a lot of food, but now $100 it only buys 2 bags worth of food. If you study history, you'll see that the wealth gap is a huge catalyst to economic collapse. There's always a complete collapse with the economic system or social revolution. And it happens slowly because all the inflation, all the taxes, everything else, it sucks out money from the economy to a point where you're either rich or you're poor. The income tax is a big contributor as to why you're poor and why the wealthy do whatever they can to avoid taxes. See, the income tax was introduced in 1913 when the Fed was also created. And since the Fed was created along with the income tax, the US dollar has lost more than 95% of its value. What a coincidence. You see, the absence of an income tax allows an economy to grow. So when you have an income tax on money that's been created out of thin air, you're siphoning off resources from the economy without creating new resources. About 40% of your income vanishes through taxes. So when they print money, they have to figure out ways to get it back. So they can take it from you in the form of taxes. The income tax was designed to pay back the interest that the government owes the Fed for lending money to them. All the money that they make from your taxes is gone before a single dime is spent on services that you expect from your government. Imagine I loan you money and you have to pay me back with interest, but you're smart. You don't want to pay back the interest yourself, so you make a rule. Every person who steps into your house, they have to empty their pockets and give you half of their money. The money that you take from them is what covers the interest that I charge you. So it's not your money that you're giving to me, it's their money. It's every person who steps into your house. So I'm good to go because you're giving me money. You're good to go because the peasants are giving you money. But what about the peasants? Who's giving them money? How are they going to survive if they keep giving their money to you to give to me? Well, who cares? As long as I'm good, as long as I'm getting money, the bank, and as long as you're good, as long as you're getting money, the government, who cares about the peasants? Let's give them a few crumbs here and there, but it's not our problem. Now think about it from the perspective of the bank. Do I want you to pay me back the full amount that I loaned to you? If I loaned you $1 million and I get 10% interest on that $1 million every year, you're giving me $100,000 every year. If you pay back the full million, I get nothing. You paid everything back. So there's no interest that you're going to give me by paying me back. You pay back the loan, so I don't get to make any money off you anymore. But if you don't pay me back, if you just keep that $1 million and you don't pay me back, if you only pay the interest every year and not the full loan, then I make $100,000 per year for the rest of my life. I don't want you to pay me back the full amount of the loan. I only want you to pay the interest. In fact, here you go. I'll loan out another $1 million to you so I can get more interest off of that too. In fact, you want some more money? You want me to loan out more money to you? I'll loan out more money to you so I can get interest off of that too. I don't want you to pay back the full amount of the loan. I'd rather you keep paying me interest on the money you owe for the rest of your life. That's great for me, but what about the peasants? Every time they step into your house, they have to keep paying you. And one day you decide that you want to make them pay more to step into your house because you took out another loan. I gave you more money. You have to pay more interest, so you're going to make them pay more. That's how the system works. But you don't want the peasants to get mad at you, so you make empty promises by telling them that you're going to fight for them and you're going to make things better. So you publicly say one thing and you privately do another. You privately take out more loans. Interest is the main problem that created all the other problems. Think about it. If money is printed, then why does printing money not create economic abundance? It seems that the more money that's printed, the worse things get. So remember, money sprang into existence by creating debt. All money is borrowed. Whether it's borrowed from the Fed or the Bank of England or another central bank, the money has to be paid back with interest. So you want money. You borrow money from me and I charge you interest. As you borrow more money from me, your debt increases and the interest gets larger and larger every year. So you owe 10% on $1 million. Now you owe 10% on $2 million. Now you owe 10% on $3 million, then on $4 million and $5 million and so on. I'm the bank, so I'm loving this. You're owing me more and more interest every single time you take out a loan. But this interest, it has to be extracted from the peasants. These peasants that you're allowing into your house, that money has to be taken from them so you can pay me back. The money has to be extracted from products and services in the economy. It's the only way that you can pay back the interest. So not only are you going to charge the peasants for entering your house, now you're going to start charging them for water, to use a restroom, to grab something to eat. Since money has to be extracted from the economy, people have to pay for everything. Luggage on airlines, checking accounts, drink refills, parking, childcare, an ambulance ride, heated seats in your BMW. We always have to find resources that once were free and convert them into money. Your freedom shrinks with each new service that's being monetized. It's an endless spiral that destroys an economy. Banks create money out of thin air and they make a fortune. They used to have the fractional reserve system that said banks need 10% on hand to loan out money, but they've become so insolvent that they've gotten rid of the fractional reserve. Banks don't need to have any money to take out a loan, to make a loan to you, and charge you interest on top of that money that they created out of thin air. At first, they created money out of a speck of dust. Now they're truly creating money out of thin air. All this creates the boom and bust cycles that you see, the recessions. If they can print money out of thin air and charge interest on money that was created out of nothing, the only way to get that money back is to extract it from the economy. But what happens when you loan out too much money and you charge interest on top of all this money you've loaned out? Naturally, you create a bubble that has to pop. It allows you to start the cycle all over again, hence the boom and bust cycles. When you understand how money works, you can see how the housing prices are pushed up through billions of dollars of new money that the banks created in the years prior. Conglomerates like Blackstone, they make their money in the boom and bust cycles of an economy, and the way that you can make money is by following the smart money. It allows you to get wealthy because it's only a matter of time when the boom and bust cycle repeats itself. The worst thing you can do is hate the governments and the banks because it will make you a victim of your circumstances. The system will either fail or it will undergo massive changes. The morale of young people is going to zero because they sense that they have no future. This only speeds up the process. The whole system has nothing exciting to offer for them. So you look around and you see everything leads to nowhere. But that's only because you don't see the opportunities to make money. You don't study history or the failed fiat currencies. You don't study how money works, so you can't see the opportunities to make money. You have to learn to think instead of being told what to think. You're in this predicament because you confuse having thoughts with thinking. If you're waiting for someone to tell you how to think and what to think about, then you're going to end up in the same situation you are right now. If thinking doesn't feel effortful, then you're not thinking at all. Every empire has come to an end, and nobody in that empire thought it would happen to them. They all thought they would be on top forever. Playing the victim doesn't help your situation. If you're going to do something, then focus on obtaining assets by any means necessary. The system is designed to siphon money out of you. You're a peasant. Wake up and understand how the game is being played. This is why George Soros was able to break the Bank of England. He understands how the game is being played, and he refused to be a victim. You have to refuse the peasant mentality of things happening to you and adopt a king's mentality of things happening because of you.